my name's Christina and I'm a travel specialist for As You Wish Vacations. While I book many vacation destinations, I specialize in the Disney products. And this video series focuses on Disney Cruise Line specifically. We've been talking about all the different itineraries that Disney Cruise Line offers by ship. So we've talked about the dream, we've talked about the fantasy, we've talked about the wonder, and the past few weeks we've been talking about the magic. Now we get to really get into some of the itineraries I most want to do. So the magic we talked about last week, that they crossed the Atlantic. We talked about those transatlantic cruises. If you want to check out that video, I'll put the link right here. So once it gets across the Atlantic, it kind of home ports in Barcelona for a few weeks. So I'm going to talk about the itineraries it offers, but just note that they only offer 1 or 2 departures per itinerary. So the shortest itinerary you have is a 5-night round trip to Barcelona. So you have a day in Cannes, France, you go to Livorno, Italy, you go to Civitavecchia, which is the port for Rome, you have a day at sea, and then you end up back in Barcelona. That's the 5-night. The 6th night actually goes from Barcelona to Rome. So you have a day at sea, then you're in Naples, Italy, you're in Genoa, Italy, which is kind of your gateway to Milan, you're in Livorno, Italy, then you're in Villefranche, which is similar to Cannes, it's right on the French Riviera, then you end in Rome. This is probably my favorite because you can spend a few days before your trip in Barcelona and a few days after your trip in Rome. When Rome is just a day port, you really don't have enough time to see everything that you want to. So that's something I'll talk about a little bit later when we talk about Rome as a port. But then you have a 7-night Barcelona. That one is round trip. So you have a day at sea, you're in Naples, you're in Rome, you're in Livorno, you're in Villefranche, you have a day at sea before you're back in Barcelona. Then you have a 7-night, which is Rome to Barcelona. So you have Naples, a day at sea. You have a day in Livorno, Italy, a day in Genoa, Italy, and Cannes, France, and then Toulon, France, which is kind of a gateway to Provence, and then you end in Barcelona. And so you'll see a lot of these will change out, a lot of these ports, but they don't necessarily change out your port adventures. So Toulon will kind of have the same port adventures as Marseille, and Livorno will have similar ones to La Spezia. Salerno will be a replacement for Naples. So you might hear different names here, but you're really doing the same thing. They're really just the ports that are closest to Florence or Pisa or Pompeii. So then you have an 8-night, which is round trip out of Rome. I just talked about Salerno. You have a day at Salerno, then you have a day at sea, Toulon, Barcelona, Marseille, a day at sea, and then Rome. Then you have a 10-night, you have a day at sea, you're in Naples, you're in Rome, you have a day in Corsica. So this kind of adds the port of Corsica to some of the things that we've been talking about. Livorno, a day at sea, Genoa, Villefranche, Marseille, and Barcelona. So those are the itineraries you can do on the Med. They don't have any Greece itineraries. They don't have any that have Croatia. They don't have any that do the boot of Italy. Everything is relatively from Barcelona. You hit a French Riviera port, you hit some Italian ports, and then you come back. So some of those ports that you'll hit, Cannes is one of my favorites. So Cannes or Villefranche, depending on what itinerary you're doing. They're both on the French Riviera. They're basically 2 towns over from each other. You have Cannes, you have Nice, and then you have Villefranche. So you can do a lot of the same things from those places. You have walking tours of any of those 3 cities. You have day trips out to Monaco or Monte Carlo. They have a cute little tram tour of Nice, they have walking tours, they have food tours, all sorts of different things you can do. There is a private yacht tour, which looks really fun, but the one that I would be most excited about is the Monaco Ez day trip. Ez is one of my favorite places in the world. It's this old medieval town. It's between Villefranche and Monaco, and it is one of the most picturesque fairy tale like places I've ever been. And as a part of this itinerary, you get a 3-course meal in the Chateau Eza, which I've eaten there before, and it's one of the best meals I've ever had. So I definitely recommend doing that one if you are porting in Cannes or Villefranche. The next port you would go to on that 5-night, so I'm just going to kind of use that as a base, would be Genoa. Genoa is a lovely little town on its own, so you can stay there, you can do walking tours there, or you could take a short ride into Milan, do some high-end shopping in Milan, see some of the art. There's a lot of art out there. One of my favorites there is the Crazy for Pesto. I love food tours, and I love going to the local markets with a chef and picking out your ingredients before cooking them, and that's what this port excursion is. Then you have Portofino by boat, so that's kind of cool. You have Western Italy up there. Portofino is one of the more well-known coastal cities of Italy, so you can, you know, just spend some time in a cafe in Portofino, feel like Elizabeth Taylor. The next port is Livorno. Livorno is your gateway to Pisa and Florence. So you can either take a day trip out to Pisa, see the Leaning Tower, see other things there. If you're an art lover, you definitely want to go to Florence. You can get to all of the museums there. Again, these are a little bit, you're not going to be right in the downtown. You are going to have to take a bus to these places. They also, Livorno is your gateway to Tuscany. So if you don't want to do one of those big touristy cities, just find a place and have some limoncello, drink some wine, you know, just enjoy it. So Livorno is nice to visit just on its own. Or you could do a boat tour of Cinque Terre, which are 5 little seaside villages, and really relax. Then you have Rome. So if you are just doing Rome as a port, you definitely want to relax on your Livorno day, because you're not going to be able to relax on your Rome day, and you're not going to be able to try to get it all in. So I definitely recommend focusing on one thing you really want to see, and that's something that they do well with these port adventures. You can focus on the Vatican, or you can focus on the Colosseum, or you can do a food tour, or whatever it might be. They have special tours just for families that Adventures by Disney and the Kids Club team kind of help create. So if you really want to go see a museum, well, they'll have something for the kids to do, like a puppet show. So check out those family tours if there's stuff you really want to see that you don't think your kids will be interested in. The port that you dock in, and forgive my pronunciation, Civitavecchia, is about 90 minutes to 2 hours from Rome. So you're going to be spending 3 to 4 hours just getting to and from Rome, so that really puts a huge cut into your day. So you really only have 4 to 6 hours there, so definitely choose wisely as to what you want to do when you're in Rome. Or choose one of the itineraries that either begins or ends in Rome, so that way you don't have to squeeze it all into one day. If you're going back to Rome, or if you have been there before, or you plan on going back, then great, spend a day, but do not make this your only visit to Rome. Please, please spend more than 6 hours there. We talked about Villefranche when we talked about Cannes. The same thing, Salerno kind of is the replacement for Naples on a lot of these. Oh, I didn't talk about Naples. So Naples is one of the other popular ports. You'll see it on, I'm sure you heard it on a lot of the itineraries. That's kind of that's your Amalfi Coast. So you can do a lot there just in terms of boating and exploring and beach days and little seaside towns. Or you can head to Pompeii and see the ruins. They have really cool family adventures here where you learn about ancient Rome and living in Pompeii, so definitely check those out if you have young children. You have an excursion that will take you to Pompeii, Sorrento, and Capri, or just get a pizza in Naples. Just relax and get a pizza in Naples where it was invented. All of these places, I definitely wouldn't do an excursion in every single port. I would pick and choose the excursions you really want to do and the things you really want to see, and kind of alternate, like a busy day in Rome and then take a break in Naples and just sip some wine and have a pizza, and walk around and see the sights. So La Spezia replaces Livorno on one of the itineraries. I believe it's the 8-night. And then you have Marseille and Toulon, which is added to the 8 and the 10-night. So one is added to each. You don't stop in both because they're your gateway to Provence. And from there you can go to Arles, which is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been to. That's where Van Gogh painted a lot of his paintings, and the light there is just amazing, and the houses are bright. There is a Colosseum there. There is a Roman ruin Colosseum. It's actually in better shape than the one in Rome, and they have a lot of bullfights there actually. So you're in France and you're in a Roman ruin, and you get to see bullfights, which is something you associate with Spain. So you can definitely see the melding of the cultures in Provence there. So I definitely would recommend Arles. Avignon is fantastic as well, especially if you're religious. If you want to focus on the Vatican and Avignon, you can kind of see the split that happened in the Catholic Church in the 1500s. There's an excursion that has Avignon and Châteauneuf de Pape, so you can get some wine, see the old house of the popes, and then see the old farmhouse of the popes. So Avignon is a lot of fun as well. It's a walled city. You can't get lost. You can go to Aix-en-Provence, do a lot of shopping. So there's definitely a lot to do in either Marseille or Toulon. Toulon has a little less excursion-wise than Marseille, because Marseille is a big city. It's the 3rd biggest in France, and it's built up. You're not going to see picturesque things in Marseille, but you can do city tours. They have a hop-on, hop-off bus tour. Some of the greatest food in France. So a lot of Mediterranean, a lot of Spanish, a lot of African influences in Marseille. So the food is really unique. So those are your Mediterranean ports and your Mediterranean itineraries. So if you have any questions at all, please email me. I'm Christina at aywvacations.com. If you want to know any deals or discounts or anything like that I have coming out, make sure you're following me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at aywchristina. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please, please, please comment below. Help other people find me. Subscribe to my channel so you can see my next video. All that fun stuff that you hear at the end of every YouTube video, but it really, really does help me out. So thank you guys again, and I hope all of your vacations are exactly as you wish.